Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. It's been a while
Hello?
since I've last seen you. I believe 2 years?
What was that?
I believe it's been like 2 years since I last saw you.
It has been. It has. Because I remember back then I wasn't in the military, but now I am.
Hmm,
So I've come up in the world.
that's nice. Okay.
You, you're very quiet on my end. I can't really.
Am I quiet?
Yeah, I can't. It's like you're extremely quiet on my end. At least, like, very.
Can you try bringing my volume up and see if that works? Otherwise, I can maybe
Oh,
increase my
sorry.
mic volume.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. It was just my volume. It was down. I was tripping.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. Good, good. It's good to start these things out early. Okay, I'm already recording, so I don't have to worry about that. So, coaching. What what are you looking to get out of this?
So I'm looking to get for a short term goal out of gold, and
Mm-hmm.
then for a long term goal, be in the top 500. Because my short term goal is to get somewhere, maybe like diamond, plat. But the thing is, I think on console, diamond, or it was between like diamond and like, yeah, it was just diamond at that point. Diamond till very, very low masters. And through this time, I was not problem solving. Most of it was, I want to say, some good positioning involved with just decent mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
I switched to PC. Now, before I fully started now committing, yeah, so after I fully started committing playing, it was just me not playing the game at all. I kind of forgot all of what I learned. And
Mm-hmm.
then now I'm sort of relearning everything.
Mm-hmm.
And also in new mechanics as well because I have to learn the mouse and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, how long have you been playing then on PC after you have come back to the game?
I would say at most probably maybe 100 hours, maybe 50, because
Mm-hmm.
I just recently got back into consistently trying to grind the ranks,
Mm-hmm. And how has
and
been the time spread between the days and stuff? And how
it's
many
been
days?
possibly since before I actually tried to grind the ranks. It's been like maybe 9 months to possibly a year since I actually invested a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. And now are you playing like every day, like 3 days a week? How many hours per
I'm,
day?
I'm playing almost every day. Time can fluctuate with my schedule. I could be playing up to 6 to 8 hours. I can be playing up to 12 to 9. And on some lower cases but most of the time it's between that 6 to 8 hour mark.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And in terms of like the way that you've been practicing, I'm assuming most of it is just like getting back into the swing of things, especially since you're getting used to like mouse and keyboard, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would say I've gotten used to it, but there's been countless times where I've seen that I've very much like whiffed an easy shot that, let's say, somebody who's been playing for a bit longer, but they've only played on mouse and keyboard, that they would have missed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Along with that, like I said, it's the problem solving. I asked a lot of questions about this because I remember watching one of your streams, and you said something along the lines of, if you don't learn this now, you're just going to run to somebody else who knows, and then after you come and hit the next wall, you're just going to have to do that again. You're not going to figure out the problem on your own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's where I sort of understood at that point in time. I now, like, I broke it all down, and now I understand at least the positioning side. Everything else seems still a bit confusing to me, but I know that during the middle of a match when I could tell I'm like throwing because let's say I'm tilting, or I just like made just a genuine mistake and it's not like a tilt mistake,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess is the same. But when I do that, I'll stop and I'll check my positioning. I won't do anything else because it's like I don't know what to look for,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely check my positioning and just the basic fundamentals of just like, okay, I didn't need to dash this full
Precision is
HP
the
on
weapon of the
a.
effective warrior.
I could have just walked up to her and just shot her with some shurikens and then dashed her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So basically, what you're talking about is that you have an understanding of how to problem solve, but to problem solve certain topics, you first need to know the fundamentals of them, right? So, for example, positioning, you understand the fundamentals of positioning, so when you make a mistake positionally, you can figure out exactly what it is that you did wrong and how to fix it. But in terms of a new topic that you're not familiar with, let's say aim, right? Aiming with the mouse, you might know that your aim sucks, but you don't know where to even begin because you don't know the fundamentals of aiming with a mouse.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So before we get into any actual games, is there anything in particular that you would like me to break down and explain, especially since you're just coming into mouse and keyboard for the first time now?
I would say, how is the aiming with Genji? Is it more or less you're using your movement, or is it like you're tracking them and you're making. I would say, are you trying to track them, or are you putting your mouse hair just in the general direction and just having the spread hit them?
Um, it's all of those. Aiming is a big thing where everything matters. So, for example, you could accurately hit, right? But let's say if you're on a projectile, right? Like, let me find a better bot to showcase this on, like this one. I want to be a little bit far. Oops. My mouse for some reason is bugging out and is leaving the window, so sometimes my mouse is just gonna do something that I don't want it to. But like, for example, here, depending on the distance, I can properly track this target. I'm gonna have my crosshair exactly on it, right? And my shots won't hit, right? Similarly, you could have your crosshair on target, but move poorly, and then you throw your own aim off by moving in a way that contradicts your aim, right? Rather than helping it, right? Heck, you can even do the opposite, where you don't move your mouse at all, and you just move your movement, right? You just move your character, and you do the aiming like this, right? And then you just shoot and have that be accurate. So there are a bunch of different aspects of aiming that you can break down and isolate, right? And this is something that you can do in literally anywhere, even on the practice range, right? Not the greatest resource, right? But if you know how to isolate certain areas, right? It works the same way as practicing most things, right? And gym stuff, right? Just like working out is like a very good analogy, because like you isolate a certain muscle, you exercise that muscle, right, with a certain amount of volume, and then you rest, and then you do it over and over again over a period of time, and then you see gains, right? So if you want to, let's say, get better at moving, like matching your movements to the target, or just like accounting your movements for your mouse, right? So if I'm moving away, I'm moving my mouse in accordance. If I'm moving towards, I'm moving my mouse in accordance, right? I'm moving it more or less, right? So as a quick example here, um, you can see that I'm trying to put my crosshair in the middle of the bot, and I'm trying to always whenever I change directions, right, be mindful of that to counteract with my own movement to keep it in the middle, right? So that's something that you can isolate and practice, just like this drill. And then you can start to pick up the difficulty over time. And you can do that for a lot of different things. In terms of like flicking techniques, there's no isolation that you're gonna be able to make, because aiming, even if you consider like characters like Tracer, like Genji, they're gonna be doing more 180s and stuff like that, they're gonna do more flicks, they still need to track, and they track a lot, right? It's a very common misconception to think that Genji is a flick hero when a lot of his stuff is tracking. Primary fire, tracking, right? Let's say that you're close range with a certain target, right? It doesn't make sense for me to just stop looking at the target and just like shoot, right? Like this. Let me go to something that has more HP. Actually, no, I'm not gonna be able to because there's these bots move. But like, if it doesn't make sense for me to just like stop moving and then only aim during the moment that I want to shoot, right? It wastes a bunch of time essentially that you have, and during the downtime between shots you should be trying to be as accurate as possible. So like here, because I'm tracking properly, I don't have to flick. If I miss my tracking, then I flick to adjust. But you should be tracking just like you should be flicking. They go hand in hand, right? The better your tracking is, the easier your flicks are gonna be. The better your flicks are, the easier it is to track. Does that make sense?
Okay, I see what you mean. So whenever you over track, you're just going to compensate it with the flick to be able to make sure that you can fix your mistake, pretty much. Am I getting at it?
Mm-hmm.
And
other thing that's also very relevant is like when you're doing a 180, it's very common for you to be trying to do like the insta shoots, but this is very likely to miss, very likely to miss. And this one, my crosshair just, what the hell? Okay, there you go. It went to my second monitor. I don't know what is happening. My cursor should not be able to leave the screen, but it is for some reason. I think some Overwatch update screwed this up, but anyways. What I was trying to say is, if you're gonna be doing a big 180, or any big flick in general, like the bigger the flick, the less accurate it is, right? So I can reliably hit these small flicks. Flicks like these, oops, this one bugged out again. Flicks like these, that are bigger, less likely. Right? But I'm still decently accurate. What about these flicks though? How accurate can I be with these? Right? You can see that I'm starting to miss a bit. So if you're, let's say, gonna do a 180 on this tracer, you shouldn't be trying to hit the 180 immediately necessarily. You should do the 180. So let me do it again real quick. You should dash, do the 180, and let's say that you land here. It's close but not on targets. Now what do?
You would click melee if they're low enough, and if not, you would still just shoot them.
My crosshair is right now off targets. Should I shoot
You
them?
would no. So you would small flick to their body.
Yep, exactly. So remember, accurate, less accurate, even less accurate, right? So the big flick at the start, we shouldn't expect it to be that on. It is just to get us close. And now this is just a small flick, really simple. Boom, head, then click. So the bigger the flick, right, the less reliable it is. So you start to actually chain techniques together. You do a big flick. Oops. Let me adjust here again real quick. So you do a big flick into a small flick. It's obviously gonna be smoother than that. The faster that you can do that, the better, right? But you need to make sure that you can hit it, right? There's no point in trying to be necros if you cannot hit the shots, right?
Yeah.
So do the big flick, do the small flick. Go from there. You can chain flicks into tracks, right? Flick and then track the movements. This is very useful for like if you, let's say, finish off a target and you're trying to chain, so you need to flick your dash to the new target, and then once you are at that target, right, then you're gonna slowly track them, right? Things like that. So don't think about aiming skills in isolation when you're actually playing the game. Think about them in isolation when you're practicing them. And as you bring up one skill, you're gonna one skill up, right?
Mhm.
The other skills are also gonna see the benefit because they're all linked together. Does that all make sense?
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Okay. Anything else, or do you want to just dive into the review?
So let's dive into the review. I'll ask as the time goes on.
Mm-hmm. I believe you had a few codes for me. I don't think we're gonna have time for all of them, but we could
Well,
jump into
I,
specific timestamps in the codes if you have
I
questions
was
about them.
I was just gonna ask if, like, let's say you can compare the different games between how I do in this one to this one to see if the same mistakes are reoccurring or if it's just. I would assume they are because why would
Mm,
it
sure. Any specific one you would like me to start with?
Midtown?
Midtown? Okay.
Midtown.
See if I can actually copy paste this because my mouse is double clicking. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So in this game, it was. It's interesting because I don't know decent. I don't know decent positions
Let us proceed
for
with haste.
the second for the second half of the area that I'm in right now.
Mm-hmm. So
And I
second
know
points.
that, yeah, second point, and I know that this first area. Okay, so I had a talk with somebody. This is a different game entirely, but I was playing against like Sam Baptiste Cass. Um, I don't know what that new support's name is. I
Wu Yang?
forget sometimes.
The
Yeah, Wu
water
Yang,
boy?
along with I'm pretty sure a Junker Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And I was constantly trying to get into their backline, or just what I assumed and thought was a off angle. So the building right in front of us, I usually went into,
Mm-hmm.
and I was constantly getting pushed out. I didn't know how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. So you were, let me grab my pen. You're positioned like here or here?
So I was positioned on the high ground area.
This one?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And you were getting
And
pushed out.
yeah, I was constantly getting forced, and it was more or less like they were just attacking me and just keeping me in there, so I didn't really have a chance to get out instead of like forced, because they would force me after that, and then I'd go deeper into their back line to the other building across,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would just ping pong between the buildings, and I never really had a chance to get out because the Wu Yang constantly kept attacking me and lowering my health.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it wasn't like he was able to see me. I'm pretty sure one of his abilities tracks you. So
Mm-hmm.
it
Yeah,
it
he
kind of
can
was.
aim his orb at will. So it's funny. It's like a single shot, but it is so it's like a burst damage weapon that is made for tracking, which is odd because usually it's just like tracking for small amounts of damage that are constant. And but no, in this case, this is tracking for a big instance of burst because you're controlling the orb, right? So you can manipulate its path and curve around walls and stuff, which is interesting. But yeah, he can hit you around walls and stuff like that if he knows where you are and he properly manipulates the orb.
And that was what was having problems. I didn't know if I was able to still go in at a certain HP, because I'd get attacked. I'm thinking, okay, I can't go in because I'm not at full. I'm at like 167 when he hits me the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I was going to, and it was in that second building as well. I was hearing Cassidy come up, or Cass from the stairs,
Mm-hmm.
but then Symmetra popped in front of me, so I had to get out. If she wasn't there, I would have 1v1, but at the same time, I asked around and I don't know if I could have taken that fight and ended it quickly and got the Symmetra kill or not. But in that scenario, what could I have done?
For the most part, from what you're describing, it sounds like a timing issue. Either a timing issue or your positioning that is theoretically good, right? You have an off angle compared to where your team usually holds, right? So you are at the window and then your team is holding somewhere around here, right? So you're providing an off angle compared to your team, so which is good. But if your
But this was
opponents...
on offense.
Hmm?
This was on offense. When this happened, this was on offense. I was not on defense
Mm-hmm.
when I
Sure,
was doing
sure.
this.
I'll make the point here on defense because it is something that applies anywhere, right? It's not necessarily to like this area of the map necessarily, right? It's just about the fundamental understanding, right? So for
Okay,
example,
okay.
if you have a knoth angle that in theory is what you want, but it does not provide you the range because your opponents are walking away from that angle because they know that you're strong up close, so they want to avoid giving you that close range engagements, then what should you do? What does your character want, and what are they denying you?
They're denying me the close angles that I
Mm-hmm.
want.
Mm-hmm. So if they're walking away from you, how do you achieve those close angles?
Get closer
Mm-hmm. Yeah. More
and find
importantly,
it better.
move. You move. You adapt. Right. It's a constant game, right? If you think about chess, for example, right? Constantly moving pieces around to see who gets the better positioning on the board, right? It's the same thing. You create a threat, right? So you move your pawn or a bishop or your horse or whatever, and then they see the threat and they move their pieces accordingly to neutralize that threat and create their own. And then you see those and you need to adapt, right? Like the moment that you see their threats and you see them neutralize your threats, and you don't do anything about it, right? You're giving them all the agents in the world to just win the game, right? So you need to constantly be playing this game of adaptation, right? You see where they're going, you move to see if you can find a better angle, right? If they're not giving you the engagement that you want, if they are pushing you and you don't like it, right? You're being pushed by both Cass and Sim and whatever. Reposition, right? Try again in 8 seconds, 10 seconds, right? So this constant dance in the game of like seeing what your opponents are doing and trying to find the best way that you can do something about it. Right.
Okay.
If at any point during the review you want me to slow down, want me to pause, anything like that, just let me know.
Yep. That was it.
For example, here, right? You are at a little bit of a distance to the Zen, so what are you doing? You're closing the gap on him, right? Because you want to be more effective, right? Now, this fight's a little bit messy, but I'll first watch a bit more of your gameplay before we go too in depth about anything in particular.
Okay.
Talked about not necessarily knowing where to position on this point, right? Not necessarily here, but we can use this as an exercise. So you want to be close, in theory, right? So what's a good angle that you could play? And I'm gonna do this to help you inform me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can give me a quadrant and we can repeat this inside each quadrant. Where would you want to be?
Okay. You could be in box 2 next to that pillar right in front of me.
Like this?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Sure. This is a good position. Any other positions that could be good?
You could be in the other pillar in box 1.
Mm-hmm. Here, maybe here, something like that. Yep. Those are fine positions. Any other ideas? There's a sneaky one that is commonly used and it's quite good.
You could be on the top in box 1 and in 2
Mm-hmm. This area
in
right here.
case you push up. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is all good. So what you have to think about is, okay, we have a bunch of different close range angles that we can play. So if we want to play these angles right at this time, which one makes the most sense right now for where the enemy team is positioned?
I want to say the best angle for where they're at right now would be the box 1 pillar,
Mm-hmm.
because you're close enough to where you can punish them if they get too low, and you can still poke them
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at a close angle.
Yeah. And if they don't want to walk into you, right, they're scared, they're gonna move out. And then they don't have sightlines on your team. So you're doing a really good job controlling space for them. So yeah, that'll be pretty good. Let's see what you do in here though. Gonna move closer. So now I have a close angle. This is good. He's low. Bit of a messy exit, but at the moment that you make an engagement like this, it's kind of very committed. At least from where you decided to escape towards. Like maybe if you deflect this way, right, and try to climb here, you could escape. But it's a fair risk to take, right? Hanzo is low, you dash in, they peel. Your team was here, they did not make use of it. So in terms of positioning and what you did, I'm fine with this.
I want to say right there when I attacked the Zen, that was I think the biggest mistake between me getting out and me not getting out, because I made him aware I was there. So that was
Maybe. Move to next fight. These angles make sense. This angle makes sense, we just got headshot. And here's the thing, like, a lot of the positions so far have made sense. Yeah, here is just no deflect, so let's get forward. This is good duel. So far, one of the things that I'm mainly looking at is the timing, not necessarily the positioning. This is fine. Yep. Now let's see where you position. So, is this a good position?
for where the cast was at the time. It was a very good position.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say though, how far can you go up when you take their team out? How far is too far, and how far is too far for overextending?
Mm-hmm. So here I'm gonna answer a few questions that you can ask yourself to figure this out, right? Where is your team holding? If your team is all the way back, maybe playing this rush forward does not really work, right? But at the same time, if let's say you have a really good escape path, like going over to this high ground, right? You dash over here, and the enemy team has no way of getting up top here, then it doesn't matter how deep you are on the enemy team because they cannot chase. So you're safe. You don't need your team for safety, right? But in general, these are very important things to keep in mind, right? Your escape paths, the kinds of angles that you want to play, like is the area that you're in, or does the area that you're in make sense for your character? where is your team fighting, and what are the opponent's positions, and what can they reach, right? Like if you're playing versus a Ram, he struggles with high grounds, whereas Winston, well, maybe dash to the high ground would not make you safe, so maybe you wouldn't be able to position here safely, right? So it's not something that you can answer generally, but it's something that you have really good questions that you can just ask yourself to figure out in the moments, right? And also you can over time you will also memorize certain positions on maps that are more likely to be good. Like for example, this high ground on this area of the map is really good because if they're trying to push in, you have like a really annoying angle for the enemy team to deal with, right? It's very hard for them to deal with you, so they have to go all the way up top, and you can easily disengage to, let's say, this high ground with dash, and they cannot chase, etc. This corner is also really good, for example. But this is stuff that you'll figure out over time by just playing, right? By just looking for good close range angles, playing them, and evaluating them over and over again until you get familiar. Yeah, this is good, and it isn't yet perfect. And it can't really do much about you. The Hanzo is trying, but he needs to be scared about you if he pushes you close range. Yeah, nice job.
Pass into the
Sure. Look at a bit of offense. Any questions so far?
4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
So, oh yes. So for deflect and dash, do you need both of those cooldowns to engage, or is it just if you have a good escape plan, you really don't need one or the other?
You kind of answer your own question.
Yeah, never mind.
So it depends. As a lot of things in the game, it depends. So, is the duel that you're taking a duel that you necessarily want both cooldowns or need both cooldowns? Those are two different things. So, do you need them? Not always, but it's always good to have them if possible. Now, if you're down one cooldown and you see a good opportunity and you feel like you don't need to wait for the other cooldown, sure, go for it, right? There's no hard rule here for you to follow. If you have an escape path that is not reliant on cooldowns, yeah, sure, you can go for it, right? So I wouldn't overthink this. Like here, for example, if you're trying to engage here, you're already half HP, and your team is still far back, so you're peeking out and you see 1, 2, heck, 3 players that are all ready to look at you. Do you need your cooldowns or not?
You would more than likely really want them.
Yeah, absolutely. And since you don't have one of them, right? And you're also down a little bit of HP, right? What should you do with this dash?
What could I do with the dash? Dash out. Or I could possibly try and engage with the Hanzo. Or maybe not even needing to dash out.
Yeah. I think dashing out here makes sense because they can easily burst you down. They're all long range, right? So proximity is not necessarily correlated to threat level. Like you're peeking them here, you are under massive threat. So yeah, I would actually just dash here and cower from in fear and just wait, and then peek out at full HP with deflect. Maybe rotate here, try to close the gap slowly, right? That's one of the biggest things with Genji, especially into characters like these, which are very common in ranked. Right, you see a lot and lots of hit scans or just general long range characters. They're simpler in design, right? You just maybe stand main or take a slight angle and shoot. No, Genji is not like that. A lot of your value is backloaded, quote unquote, in that early in the fight you don't really do much, but the longer the fight goes on and the more time you had to set up, the more value you will get. So right now you can't look to take a fight against them. But once you take 10-20 seconds to flank around and be here with full HP, then you can drop on these players, have the advantage, and do a ton of damage and potentially kill them, right?
Okay.
My duty calls.
I'm with you, Genji.
So very important. Be careful engaging in these trades. Right now you are managing to walk in the open without getting shot. But that's the thing. You really shouldn't be able to. Right? Like, you're already walked all those way here, you're still full HP. And even then, how much has this done for you? Look at the HP's bars, right? Like, this is the only guy that you shot and he's not even missing that much, right? Your character is just not suited for this very much. If you want to poke, you need to poke from close to cover where you get shot, you hide, you don't die, right? This risks your cooldowns. So this is no good, right? You risk your cooldowns for a very little damage that you could do much more safely. Like if you wanted to poke, play this position, shoot, and then DP the moment that you take damage, right? And then that's it. But here, if you want to, let's say, look for an engagement on them, think about how you can close the gap on them. There are two ways to handle this, actually. Let's assume... actually, let me go back a bit in time. Here. You wanna go on these players, right?
When is the transitioning? So before I ask, when is the transitioning from poking to setting up and engaging?
This is an interesting one. So, in general, if you can set up, you should. That's a good way of thinking about it. If you cannot set up for one reason or another, right? Maybe the angle that you want to take is contested and you cannot fight them at the moment, right? Maybe you have to wait for your team to walk up a little bit more before you can set up. Then maybe you just poke. But for the most part, you should only really think about poking if you cannot do something else that is better. There are exceptions to this, but I will leave those nuances for you to learn over time by playing more. And also you can also learn a bit of those nuances by just watching some of my gameplay on my gameplay channel. I've created I think I have like 20 or something videos, and then you can focus on like that's one of the main reasons why I made the channel, is that you, let's say you have a specific concept that you're trying to work on, you can just look at my gameplay, focusing on that specific concept, right? And thinking, why is Poke doing this then and not in that moment, right? Was this good or was this bad, right? Like you can look at my gameplay specifically focusing on one concept. So like in this case, when is Poke poking and when is Poke choosing to set up, right? So that is a very valuable resource that you can use if you want. Just watching the videos with those things in mind. Right now, the main reason why I don't really like the idea of poking is that poking versus most characters in the enemy team is just disadvantageous. You just lose the long range trade. So most of the time you should be thinking about closing the gap, because you have an advantage in close range against basically every single player in the enemy team. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So let's assume that you want to close the gap. We can go back to the poking in a bit. Let's assume that you want to close the gap here. Where should you go?
So I'm thinking hugging the fire truck off to the left, or possibly going over the train into the stairway.
So I mean like this rollout and maybe going somewhere like this and maybe holding this angle or something? Sure. Now, here This can work if they're close, right? Like if this backline was positioned here, you'd get close to them, right? You would be avoiding their long range threats, and you would be only be picking them once you have an advantage, right? That's a very important part. They beat you at range, you beat them up close. So you want to avoid their sidelines and you want to favor yours. So this rollout would work if they were positioned further or closer up, but they aren't. So this rollout isn't as good. The other place, right, which I think is fine for now, is this one. You are avoiding their sidelines. Now, are you close here?
You're not really that close
Mm-hmm.
per se, but you're in dash range.
That's good. So you're closer than you are right now. And this is one of the big things, right? Like, if you are within dash range and there is no path that you can use to keep closing the gap without using dash engage is fine. Dash engages are not bad. You can dash in, deflect out. You can dash in when people are low and take the risk to get the kill, right? You can dash in, deflect, wall climb, and stuff like that, right? All of the different escape paths and stuff. So yeah, it can make sense. Just take this position to be within range for a dash engage. Use the dash to force your favorable engagements, right? Or your favorable distance, right? Dashing in when your team is pushing to synchronize the pressure. Now, let's try a little bit further. Let's say that you don't want to engage with dash. Is there another setup that you can make, right? Let's say that you dash here and you wait for another dash. Can you dash somewhere else to wait another dash?
You could dash into the building, the building in front of you.
And from here, you can dash here, and now you're behind them, so you can wrap around and hit the backline whenever you want to. Because they're unlikely to push that far back. If they push that far back, just living is good because now this backline does not have relevant sightlines on your team. But then we're diving into a strategy that I think might be too deep for the time being. But yeah.
But I want to say though that I feel like the fight would end if you try and go that far into their backline.
Sure.
To...
So that's an interesting nuance, right? And then you just answered a little bit of your question about the poke. If your setup, let's say, takes 40 seconds like this one does, it takes like 4 dash rotations, then how early on do you need to start setting up?
You need to be setting up immediately.
So you have no time for poke. Now, if your setup is, let's say, you're just trying to engage this Ramatra, right? Do you need to set up any further for this?
No, you're right on them pretty much.
So if your team is not engaging yet, what should you do?
Set up.
You're already set up. You have time to kill. What can you do during that time?
You can engage.
You're waiting to engage because you want your team, right? Especially your Orisa to walk in. So you're already set up. You don't have. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You can poke. So that would be a situation where poking makes sense because you don't have to think about setting up, right? Or your setup is so short that you have time to kill. So if you have nothing better to do, you just poke. Now you should try and avoid losing HP to the point where you cannot engage this Ram anymore when your Orisa walks in, right? Because that would create problems. But yes, that would be a situation where poking makes sense.
Okay.
Let me do something real quick. I'm gonna have to stop the stream. I'm gonna have to change stuff here in OBS. Options, full screen. Okay, I'm capturing the game, so I can ignore this for now. I want to do this. Yeah, there you go. Okay, perfect. And now I can start streaming for you again. I don't remember if I have you added or not.
You do.
I do? On this account?
want to say it's on one of those.
Okay, I was gonna say, the Discord stream might not work great. So if it doesn't work all that well, you can always just spectate through the game because I'm gonna be playing quick play.
Okay. What have you noticed so far as to what I'm doing wrong? Because it feels like everything's. It feels like what you're saying, I'm doing everything right, but just possibly the angles. Which.
Mm-hmm. We'll get into that with this match. I'm gonna narrate. I'm gonna focus on certain topics related to the engagements, mainly the decision making of like when to set up, and also how I handle the actual engagements. So let me just make sure I have everything set up here. Yeah, I don't think I'm missing anything. Okay. I sent you my tag in case you want to add me and spectate through the game.
Okay.
But oh yeah, maybe I could even go into one of my own replays to showcase. I think all of these are stomps though. But yeah, mainly what what I want to do is showcase the exact details of my thought process so that you can not only more accurately look at your own replays, right? Look at your own gameplay and know what you're doing wrong and how you can fix it. But also that you can do a better job, let's say when you're studying other people's footage, like I recommend with my gameplay channel, right? So for example, I'm gonna tell you about my decision making on what angles to take based on their positioning, right? You're gonna see the way that I adapt to their movements. You're gonna see how I choose to use my cooldowns. You're gonna see the timing that I want to go in. The timing being one of the biggest ones, right? Because you are doing a decent job already with finding the positions that you want to play that are effective for your character, but there's a disregard for when you're engaging. So oftentimes you're fighting 2, 3, 4 players, and that's oftentimes too much for you to handle. So how can you make it so you're engaging at a better time, right? How can you handle only 1 or 2 players at once? Or even if you are gonna be fighting more people, what should you do in that case, right? Do you wanna take a guess?
Distract them?
Perfect. Now, you need to distract them at the right time, right? If you were engaging 4 people, and then the other one, let's say that it's the enemy tank, right? The enemy tank is the one that your team can now focus because everyone else is dealing with you. But if the enemy tank is not engaged, then the distraction goes to waste because it's not timed properly, right? The enemy tank needs to be engaged for your distraction of the 4 backline members to make sense.
Okay.
So that's mainly what I want to go about, right? Like the positioning and whatnot, we discussed a lot already. So it should, for the most part, make sense. And if you have any questions, you can always ask. But I want to nail down the timing specifically of the engagements and how you can think about the timing. Yeah, let me just test. I think my issue with the mouse sometimes not working is actually just because of the borderless window. Like now that I'm on full screen, I changed monitors. It's working perfectly fine. I don't know what happens. In the past, I always did this, and it never had any issues like moving a mouse on my second monitor. I don't know what it is. So weird.
How was the glass pad?
That's very nice. It's only my second day on it, but I'm really loving it. It's a bit different. I wouldn't necessarily say it feels weird. It just feels fast, but I've played on a variety of senses. Like I started on high sense because I had very little mouse space. So it's not like... It's not weird to play on this. But it's like really smooth. That's what I really enjoy about it. It's really smooth. And consistency. That's the biggest reason why I wanted a glass pad. It's consistency.
So for the fundamentals, or for me, so could you tell me the fundamentals of Genji in whole? So you have, I remember watching like a workshop, and you're saying like you got positioning, timing, and mechanics. Is there any more than that, or is it just those three in whole?
Fundamentals. I guess if you want to, you could break it down like very deeply. So if you want, you could break down heck, a quick example that comes to mind is just like timing of the engagements. For example, timing it so when people aren't looking versus timing it within the fight, right? Which moment in the fight you're engaging early, in the middle of it, late, whatever, right? So those are two different timings already. Oh yeah. If you want to add me so you can spectate in game, you're gonna have to do that soon because I'm already in here.
Power means nothing if you do not put it to use.
But
I'm working on computer, so I may not be.
Sure. Just in case it's a better option for you.
I still have much to learn.
In terms of, you could also add like ult tracking, right? Ult economy. Like there are a bunch of different concepts that you could argue are fundamentals of the game.
3, 2, 1.
Well,
Commence attack on objective.
I would say more or less the fundamental alone for Genji, because I know in the fundamentals of the game you have those three and a lot more, but for him in general.
Objective unlocks
Mhm.
10
I would argue that you're spot on. Like positioning and timing are like probably the biggest ones. But yeah, I did not have much time right now to talk. But for example, my Doom is in, so now this is a better moment for me to engage, right? And you can see how many shots that I fire without them even looking at me. Like that's a good example of like the timing. I was within dash range for any moment there, so the moment that my Doom wants to go in, I go in too. I'm gonna wait for my Doom. I don't think we're gonna touch the points. I'm just gonna chill.
objective lost.
This is a little bit interesting to face, because they have a lot of very good characters up close, right? Zarya, Reaper. So those are moments that you can also think about poking because you don't necessarily want to close the gap on them. Or maybe only when they're low. I don't like this. I don't like where we're fighting.
Objective unlocked.
So right now I'm poking because I have no cooldowns. Okay, now my Doom is going in, so I want to close the gap. Let's take Dragon Stairs to simplify this.
Much better.
So for example, one of the biggest cues for my timing is my tank, because the tank is usually going to be the one that dictates when a fight is starting, right? And it's going to be the biggest provider, alright, or the biggest attention grabber, right? That facilitates my job as a DPS. I'm just capping, so I'm just gonna poke.
Let the kitsune guide you.
I'm somehow a lose, I guess. That's fine.
We have to get them off the
How would you play with a poke and brawl tank?
The principle is the
Or
same.
just
It's like the poke tank is just gonna do stuff from range, whereas the brawl tank is gonna do stuff from closer in. So my Doomfist grabbing attention is gonna do it up close, but a Sigma is grabbing attention from range. So when the Sigma is pushing in with shield, when the Sigma is fighting people, that's when I choose my engagement, right? Now, the more explosive an engagement is, the easier. So, for example, a Doomfist is very clear when he's going in because of like punch, especially in powered punch, right?
Yes.
Now, for someone like Sigma, that is just like high uptime, not really many spikes in value, it's harder to decide. But here, like a good example, my Sombra was the tank and the enabler. She both enabled me with damage and with attention grabbed from the enemy team, allowing me to blade and clutch. So it can come from in a variety of ways. You just have to recognize the situations where the enemy team is not looking at you and when something needs to happen, essentially, right? My team is doing stuff, so I should do stuff too, right? Like, this Cassidy is distracted shooting my team, so I can engage him.
Is that the same? Is that the same for just like a comp in general? Or does it switch up if you have multiple people in a different type of role?
Not sure I can understand.
So for like, let's say you have a poke comp, Sigma Ash on a Baptiste, and you're playing Genji in it. Does it change or is it the same?
No, like what you do as a character is still the same. Your role in the match might change, like you might, let's say you're dealing with a Tracer, you might be man-marking Tracer rather than looking for your own kills on their backline. Like on this comp, for example, it's really hard to get kills. Every character is a really good duelist. So a lot of what I'm gonna be doing is just fighting for space, and then once there's a good enough setup from our team, like a punch from my Doom, then we can look for a kill. So like right now, we don't even have the space to actually look for kills. So all I can do is just like try to shoot this Reaper, and then after I force him out, then I can develop my angle. Let's see if I can get a better game. I'm gonna ignore the time that I spent in the queue. So we have I can do one more game before we end the session. Also, I can maybe look to go into a replay in the meantime.
Ready for battle.
Actually, this wasn't a really good replay for an example. What about Rialto? Maybe Rialto.
Ready for battle.
This is an interesting example. Because in this match, my job is kind of like to deal with their flanker. We have Widow, we have Bap, we have Life Weaver. A lot of characters that would love to avoid being ran down. If I can keep them safe, they're gonna output a lot of pressure. So
Yes.
if I can man mark the Genji on the flank, which is why I'm on this flank, because I know that he wants this flank. If I was attacking, I would want to use this flank, right? Then I keep my Widow safe. I don't know where my Widow is. Where is my Widow? Hello? Oh, she's grapple shotting, that's why. But yeah, if I can make sure that the Genji can't flank the Widow, then my Widow just free shoots. So here maybe my role as a character changes a bit, but I'm still in a close angle, right? I'm not suddenly, oh, because I want to protect this Widow, playing with this Widow from here, because this is not really a good position for Genji, right? This is. Or if I want to poke, sure, I'm gonna poke from here, because this is better cover, and also allows me to, later in the fight, use this quick little flank from the high ground to drop on the backline. Now, the Ram is gonna be a bit easier to know the timing, but he is brawling with Nemesis form. yeah, this, if I can go in, then this is one of the better moments for me to go in, right? Sigma, he's swinging with shield and rock and stuff, one of the better moments to go in. Orisa, fortify, pushing, whatever, sure, right? Hog, looking for a hook, same thing. You're just looking essentially for aggression. Aggression and attention, those are good concepts to keep in mind. If your team is being aggressive, you should try to be too, right? If you can match that timing. When there's attention on you, if you can handle it, great. But one of the, like, if you can avoid attention, like I was doing on the first fight of actually let's do root. Root is fine. Like I did on the first fight on the Throne of an Abyss match. When my Doom goes in from one angle, I go in from the other angle, so I just get to shoot for free because nobody's looking at me, right? That's bonus points, right? Avoiding attention.
Okay.
Good job. Now we're gonna play with Hog, which is interesting. So my timing is usually gonna be when the Hog wants to peek. If this Hog wants to peek to look for a hook, that's when I'm gonna be either poking myself, or most importantly, I'm gonna either be developing my own angle or actually engaging people to synchronize that pressure, make sure that my Roadhog is taking less damage, or that on my own engagements I'm dealing with less pressure because everyone is focused on the Roadhog.
I insist that you start dressing up for the Halloween parties.
What?
Okay.
I always dress up.
You can't
Now,
be Cyborg
I'll
Ninja every
make a prediction because this is most likely going to be the case.
Cyborg Ninja in the hat.
Very, very common in this map for long-range characters to be played. On the station, right? Gas station top. So I'm gonna wait a little bit for the payload to push to the corner. My Roadhog is gonna be most likely looking for hooks around the corner. And so I'm gonna be taking the left flank the moment that my Hog wants to look for a hook there at the corner. And that's when I'm gonna be coming out of the flank and actually trying to engage. For now, if I set up, my team still won't be there, so everyone would turn on me, so it would be bad, even if I do it from a good Genji position, right? Good close angle. My Hog is soon gonna be able to actually peek, look for hooks. I think Hog is watching me. Shame my deflect did not go off and prevent hook from latency. So that was an interesting situation, right? The attention was on me. If I was on low latency, I would have deflected the hook, but even if I did, I would not be able to actually come out of the flank because they're marking the flank, which is annoying. But the idea was there, right? I waited for my Hog when he wanted to peek, and when he wants to peek, that's my most likely moment for me to be able to do something. Nice. Okay. My Hog wants to peek, I'm gonna do a different engagement this time. Engage from main. Doesn't matter if I kill or not. This engagement allows my team to walk for free because I'm tanking attention for them. Right? So in this case, I engaged with the intention of allowing my team to walk. Here I'm gonna poke outside of hook range because this is just very free. So just an interesting matchup thing. I don't necessarily need to set up close range always. Okay, my Hog is probably dead again. Yeah. Okay, let's just reset this fight. So the one mistake I made there is that I poked for too long. My Hog was in, right? He was peeking the enemy team. I was not in a position to engage. If I was, I could have deflected for him and just won the fight on the spot. Like actually, I would deflect 5 people's worth of damage. It's the bronze player's dream. They stand main, deflect 2 fire strikes, clear the entire team. Okay, my Hog is gonna peek main, I'm gonna go through the flank. And there you go. Nobody was on me, I guess the Genji is on me. But I earned the flank because of my timing. Okay, my Hog is being active, so I'm gonna look to be active too. Okay, they're looking at me, I'm gonna be careful. I have my cooldown soon, and my hog. No, never mind. My hog is not in. I'm gonna wait a bit. I'm gonna wait. My team is busy. Their team is busy, so I can look for engagements. Now you can see that during that whole exchange, right? Ignore the mechanics. You can see that during that whole exchange, I got shot 0 times, right? That's very good proof of the timing, right? That I timed the engagement well. I did it from a good range, at a good time. It was just about executing it well enough to get the value, right? And I just missed. Otherwise I would kill Mercy, I would potentially kill even more people. Just waiting for my team to walk a bit here. Okay, once my team walks to corner, maybe I can look for a blade. Team is too low to push right now though. Okay, the Genji is engaging my backline. Oops, I don't know what happened to my walk line. I also got to kill deflect. Okay, hog is in. If I can, I should look to engage. Same thing. Down cooldown, so I need to be careful. Special hook. Okay, nobody here to distract the high ground, so I need to be very careful about when to engage. Okay. I have my cooldowns to just make a quick cycle here and just get out, so I can just do this. There we go. Engage from the angle when the BEP is distracted, right? Again, look at the amount of damage that I'm taking now. Because the fight is messy. And I'm engaging from angles that the enemy team is not looking at. Okay, I'm gonna use the downtime to look for a close angle. I'm gonna take this high grounds. Okay, right now we just play to hold this high ground. Okay, for now we're just pushing payload, so I'm not likely to look for engagements. Just holding the angle. I don't know what they're doing. And that's kind of what happens when you have a good setup and they just kind of ignore it or ego it, right? Like that Baptiste did not respect my threats of the dash in. This Mercy did not respect my proximity. So the enemy team just dies because they're walking into my setup, right? Now I would not be taking those engagements if I didn't think I could get out. Because they were not likely enough to get kills for me to just gamble my life. Now, close angle, gonna be really hard for the enemy team here. Oh, they died. Okay. Gonna be the same thing here. We're gonna have to push payload for a bit, so I'm gonna kind of have to wait. Just dash here. Oops, my mercy. Not matter, he's fine, okay. Oh, they have Widow now. Interesting. I'd like to close the gap on Widow. So where is Widow? Scout the Widow, avoid long range sidelines, right? Don't engage before I'm close. Now I'm close, so now I can maybe look for engagements. Now I don't want to engage into that, it's scary. Because if I don't get a kill, I'm likely dead. But I'm inching my way forward, and you can see that they're backing up. They're scared of me. The guy is isolated, and I also have a pocket, so I can just look for the engagements. And I'm safe. Okay. There I just missed the shots and hit his. Like, that's fine. Any questions?
Mm. don't really have any questions so far.
Payload is approaching
Hog is in, so the moment that I come here, I'm most likely gonna look for an engagement immediately. Because they're unlikely to be able to look at me. Or the amount of tension that they give me is not gonna be enough. Like you can see here, like I'm misusing my dash and about Mercy. I'm in the middle of the open and nobody is looking at me, right? Why do I know that? Because I look at my team's activity, right? Doesn't matter the range at which they're doing it, if it's long range or what. I just see that everyone is fighting. So if I come in from a different angle, they're not gonna look at me. Or if they look at me, it's gonna be manageable. So the timing and positioning go hand in hand, right? The positioning makes the timing easier in that it can allow more options for timing. So let me just cancel Q here real quick, right? It can allow, for example, an early engage to distract the enemy team. It makes it so safety is easier to achieve because less people are going to look at you, so you have more options for cover, right? And the better your positioning is, right, the easier it is to time because your engagements are going to be stronger. Stronger engagements means stronger positions, right? Stronger setups means that you're going to have more options for engagements, right? You're going to be safer. Oh, I don't know what... Am I still here? Are you listening to me?
You're still here on my side.
Oh, okay. Weird. I don't know why this is happening every now and then. But where was I? The setups, right? So
Yes.
if you have like strong setups, then not only do you have more options for engagements, right? Which makes timing potentially easier, right? Because you have maybe a 1v1, right? So you can go straight away. Or you're positioned so well that the enemy team cannot push you out of that position. So you can just wait there, literally AFK there until your team goes in, right? Shows activity. And the moment that they show activity, you engage yourself, right? So a good example of that was that high grounds on second point. As long as the enemy team does not poke me out too heavily, which they couldn't really do. They don't, like, the only character that could really challenge me there was Baptiste and maybe Genji. But with Mercy Pocket and Zen Pocket, I would never lose that position. So I could literally just AFK on that high grounds. And then the moment that a fight breaks out, I'm ready to go. And that's what happened, right? I got the BAP, I got the Cassidy and all of that because they didn't push me out of the setup. So the moment that there was something for me to do, I could do it, right? So the concepts go hand in hand.
Okay.
But yeah, that is a lot, right? But a lot of what we talked about is stuff that you already know. We're just like refining your knowledge of it, right? Especially on the positioning side. So now you have a better idea of like when to poke, right? Certain matchups or the moments in the fight where it makes sense, right?
Yes.
But more importantly, you now know how to best time your close range engagements so that you actually get true value from them. Because a lot of what we saw from your gameplay was that you had good angles, you were just biting more than you can chew, right? You would engage at Hanzo and four people would turn at you. So that's unlikely to be able to work, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, so
Mm.
time your engagements with activity sides. Any other notes? Actually, I think that this is like really the big one for you. Time your engagements with activity from both sides. So people are engaged, that's when you want to go in.
I would say I don't think I have anything else at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me just grab this video real quick. Have you watched this video by any chance?
I think I have, but I'm pretty sure I might have just zoned out.
Mm-hmm. It's also been released like a few months ago, so wouldn't hurt to rewatch. This is like a really good summary of a lot of what we talked about with visual examples to really nail down the points. So I would highly recommend watching that, maybe writing your own notes on what you want to work on. Like there's even like a, not exactly a flowchart, but just like there's a frame there where you have like all of the concepts for like the timing and positioning that you can use to just kind of like quickly remember and choose things to work on. So I would highly recommend watching this video, why your dives get countered. Yeah. If you don't have anything more, then I believe that's all from me.
Yeah. Well, I want to just say thank you for being able to help me and answer a lot of my questions. Not gonna lie.
No problem. And if you ever encounter any struggles, oh I'm struggling to time my engagements, or this comp makes it like really awkward, what do I do, etc., etc., you can always ask me on the server or even in DMs, and then everyone can look to help. All right.
Will be.